After doing research on the Easter eggs, references and secrets for Assassin's Creed 3, I have found 15 of them. I'm pretty sure I have found almost all of them that are worth talking about, but if I have missed any then please leave them down in the comments below. Also, as an added bonus, I will include 2 Easter eggs from Assassin's Creed Liberation. Before I begin, I just want to say a massive thank you to my channel members. Your support helps out the channel a ton and it is greatly appreciated. Anyway, without further ado, let us begin. What a better way to start than starting from the beginning. During the very first section as Desmond, when you are walking with Rebecca, Sean and William, Sean will say this piece of dialogue when opening the entrance to the Grand Temple.
In another moment, down went Alice after it, never once considering how in the world she was to get out again.
This is a reference to the children's novel titled Alice in Wonderland, which was published in 1865 by Lewis Carroll. More specifically, Sean's line of dialogue is a direct quote from the first chapter, which is titled Down the Rabbit Hole. Staying with the theme of the modern day, during the first modern day mission where you have to climb the tower and then parachute off the top of it, there is a very hard to notice reference to the Spyro series. The reference takes place right at the start of the mission, just before you take control of Desmond. Rebecca tells him to set up the camera, and when it activates, it makes the same sound as Sparks the Dragonfly from Spyro. Take a listen for yourself. A really nice callback to the Ezio games is that Connor can actually use the famous flying machine that we got to use from Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood. In order to get this cutscene to play out, you need to complete all homestead missions related to Lance, who is the woodworker. He mentions that in his package that he got from France, there was plans to create the flying machine and that he built it. Connor can use the machine in a cutscene, but just like the first time Ezio used it, the flight doesn't go so well, due to the fact that there is not any heat to keep him in flight. Whilst we are at the homestead, let us turn our attention to the inn that is run by Oliver and Corinne. The name of the inn, as we can see by the sign outside, is called Miles End. This could be seen as a reference as well as a hint, because this is the game that is Desmond Miles' end, considering he dies at the end of the game. But it also could be a reference to the fact that Ubisoft Montreal is based in an area called Mile End. Either way, I think both of these reasons are pretty interesting. Unfortunately, this next reference is only available to see in the original version of Assassin's Creed 3. Basically, in the original, there were things you could find around the map called pivot points, which from my understanding were a type of collectible that was found after beating the story, and once you collected them, they would unlock a cheat. The reference part of this is in regards to the appearance of the collectibles, as they are the blue unicorn crystal thing that you can see in the thumbnail. The appearance of this is a reference to the origami unicorns found in the 1982 film called Blade Runner. Now we'll pivot back to the homestead for this next Easter egg, which is most likely the most well-known Easter egg in the entire game, and that is the famous assassin turkey. Pretty much you can spawn a turkey with an assassin hood, which is pretty random, but it is pretty memorable and funny. Anyway, in order to get it to show up, you need to get to the start of sequence 6 at least, and lean against the corner of a wall of the homestead manor. Then if you whistle, a turkey will appear out of nowhere. Once that is done, target the bird and input the Konami code, which will now be on screen, and that is it. You will have in your presence the ultimate turkey. When running around and bumping into people that are minding their own business, you can potentially get this specific line of dialogue to be said.
What we have here is a failure to communicate.
This dialogue is a reference to the movie called Cool Hand Luke, which was released in 1967. I have nothing more to really add to this as I have no knowledge about the movie, but maybe there is someone who watches this video who will understand it.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
This next reference is found literally everywhere, hiding in plain sight without you really noticing it, and that is all of the washing lines are in order of the French flag. When I first saw this one, I thought it would only work when viewing it from one side. However, after doing some research on the evolution of the French flag, I found that the flag was actually reversed and was in use from 1790 until 1794, so I guess the French flag is present regardless on either side. The Frontiersman questline focuses on a few different folklores, but the one that I want to talk about is the Headless Horseman. In the memory, you come across some people who have been murdered and seem to have a bag tied around their necks in place of their heads. And then after investigating one of the bodies, a short cutscene plays where we see the Headless Horseman in all his glory. This whole memory is a reference to the legends surrounding the Headless Horseman. the most popular one being the 1820 short story titled The Legend of Sleepy Hollow by Washington Irving. So in the first memory of the last episode of the Tyranny of King Washington DLC, there is a segment where Connor is talking to Robert while at the wheel of the Aquila. In this conversation, Connor mentions Edward by name, as well as mentioning the fact that Edward sailed for himself and a rough crew. Take a listen for yourself.
I forgot how a good sea battle could get my blood flowing. Sail around attacking ships, that's the life.
I know that feeling. It seems to run in my family.
Your father was a seafarer then?
My grandfather, Edward. He sailed with a rough crew. Or so I am told.
For the king?
For himself. But that is a long tale for another day, Mr. Faulkner.
I guess instead of a callback to an older game in the series, this is a call forward, because Black Flag would go on to release around 6 months after this episode of the DLC was released. This next one isn't really an Easter egg or reference, but more so a nice little secret detail that can be seen when interacting with the goats around the map. For those who don't know, goats have a harmless genetic condition called Myotonia congenita, which causes their muscles to stiffen for 5 to 20 seconds. They don't actually lose consciousness, but their muscles temporarily lock up in a fight or flight response. Well, with that in mind, if you go up to a goat pen and shoot your gun in the air, the goats around you would do exactly this. They will stiffen up and fall over, which is kind of a cool detail. Broken Sword is a game series that shares some thematic similarities to the Assassin's Creed series. More specifically the theme of the Knights Templar conspiracies. So honestly, I'm not entirely surprised that there is a reference to Broken Sword in Assassin's Creed. This reference is in the form of a name for a weapon, the Broken Sword Knife. In order to get it for yourself, you will need to craft it. Staying on the topic of weapons, there is actually another weapon in the game that is a reference. The Gunstock Warclub that can be found in general stores for a price of £6,500 is an exact replica of the Warclub that is used by a character with a really hard name to say in the 1992 film titled The Last of the Mohicans. After getting all the Captain Kidd treasure map fragments, Connor and Robert figure out that the location of his treasure is on Oak Island. But the reason this location was picked for the game is because of the real life popular story that Captain Kidd hid his treasure here. There is also a theory that the Knights Templar in real life stashed some treasure there, as a 14th century French led cross has been found, which suggests potential Templar links. People have been searching there for treasure for over 200 years, and even today there are those who travel there in search of some treasure. Another movie reference can potentially be found during the tournament memory for the Boston Brawlers faction. The reason I say potentially is because it is a random piece of dialogue that can be said by Harold, the guy who is the announcer for the fights. This is the line of dialogue. I am sorry for the quality, as I wasn't able to get footage of this myself. This line of dialogue is a reference to the movie called The Hackers, which was released in 1995, where a similar line is present. So now let us go over the one reference and one Easter egg found in Assassin's Creed Liberation. So the reference is quite simple, it is the achievement called Predator. For this, you need to shoot an enemy with the blowpipe, whilst using eagle vision and up in a tree. This is obviously a reference to the Predator series, who uses a shoulder cannon thing, and uses their thermal vision to obliterate people. As for the Easter egg, well, what you need to do is come here on the map in the bayou, and instead of going to the sink point beam, come to this one that is facing the water. If you chill here for a few minutes, you can hit a whale, and sometimes you can even see a part of it come above the water surface. Again, if I missed any Easter eggs, secrets or references, then please let me know down in the comments. Also, I want to give my thanks to my channel members again for your very generous support. It helps out more than you know, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.